Hello again? So glad to have you back on this journey of knowledge. Ever wonder about the shelf life of wine? Or how worried we should be about ancient viruses coming back to life from the melting Arctic ice? Welcome to 1001 Facts to Make You Smarter, Part 5. You don't have to be a wine connoisseur to know that aging can improve a wine's flavor. According to Wikipedia, complex chemical reactions between the wine's components, like sugars, acids, and crucially, phenolic compounds like tannins, change its aroma, color, and flavor in ways we perceive as better. That being said, it's estimated that 90% of wine is consumed within the first year of production, and 99% within 5 years. Of course, vintage wines that are decades, even a century old, fetch unbelievably high prices. Seriously, we're talking house-selling money. It's crazy. Don't even try to deny it. Don't believe me? The most expensive wine in the world is Domaine de la Romanée-Conti, Romanée-Conti Grand Cru, produced in 1945. That makes it about 76 years old, older than most people watching this video. In 2018, an Asian collector shelled out $558,000, nearly 13 billion Vietnamese dong at the current exchange rate, to acquire it. With a volume of approximately 750 ml, that's $744 per milliliter, or about 17 million dong. But at 76 years old, Domaine de la Romanée-Conti, Romanée-Conti Grand Cru, is far from the oldest bottle of wine in the world. That title belongs to the Speyer wine bottle, a sealed glass bottle believed to contain wine, excavated from the tomb of a Roman nobleman near the city of Speyer, Germany. The Speyer wine was discovered in 1867, 154 years ago. Wild, right? The history of the Roman noble family suggests it dates back to between 325 and 350 AD, making it the oldest unopened bottle of wine in the world, with an age of 1671 to 1696 years. We say that the Speyer wine bottle is believed to contain wine because nobody dares open it to verify. Doing so would immediately strip it of its prestigious title. However, the speculation is reasonable, as ancient Romans had a tradition of burying bottles of wine with the dead as provisions for their journey to the afterlife. And you don't need to open it for scientists to guess that after almost 17 centuries, chemical reactions have eliminated most of the alcohol content in the bottle. If the Speyer bottle really did contain wine, it's no longer wine now. Microbiologists believe that the liquid, mixed with something solid that appears to be pine resin, is likely drinkable, though they aren't sure it would be pleasant. I don't think anyone's lining up to stick their face in a mixture that looks like sewage. It's important to note the clear difference between the age of wine fermented from grapes and spirits fermented from grains, such as rice wine, whiskey, brandy, gin, rum, tequila, or vodka. Spirits, as the name suggests, have a very high ethanol or organic alcohol content, usually between 30 and 40%, sometimes up to 75%. Flammable like rubbing alcohol. The rest of a bottle of spirits is just water. The key to aging spirits is the period of aging in oak barrels. During this time, the spirit is periodically exposed to air, allowing oxidation reactions to occur and cause changes in its composition, increasing its age. In addition, contact with the charred inside of oak barrels gives the spirits their color and distinct flavor. Once sealed in a glass bottle, cut off from oxygen, spirits don't age or increase in age any further. That means buying a 12-year-old bottle of Chivas Regal and storing it for 100 years won't turn it into a 112-year-old bottle. Wine is different. It has an alcohol content of only 5.5 to 25%. In addition to alcohol and water, a bottle of wine contains a small amount of residual sugar from the grape fermentation process. Small amounts of acids like tartaric acid, malic acid, and citric acid, and tannins, a phenolic compound. Even after being sealed in a glass bottle, the complex components of wine continue to react with each other, changing the color and flavor of the wine. But that doesn't mean you can buy a cheap bottle of wine and stick it in a vault. Cheap wine has an acid, tannin, sugar, and alcohol ratio that isn't suitable for long-term aging. Their flavor usually deteriorates after about 5 years. Expensive wines are balanced in their composition to remain delicious after decades, even centuries. However, after 1,000 years, a bottle of wine is essentially no longer wine. The alcohol has been completely converted into something like acetobacter bacteria. In other words, even the best wine has a use-by date of around 100 years. What about whiskey or Vietnamese rice wine? They don't expire once bottled. Does that mean you can preserve a bottle of spirits forever? Pretty much. Ethanol is a stable organic compound if stored properly. If kept in a sealed glass bottle, away from light and heat, spirits have almost no expiration date. But if you've watched enough videos, you know nothing lasts forever. Once you open the lid and expose the spirit to air, or even without opening the lid, if you display it in a place with a lot of light or high temperatures, the quality of the spirit will gradually decrease over time. Lately, while reviewing posts for the BrainPop Universe community, I've noticed that many people seem worried about news that melting ice in the Arctic is releasing many deadly ancient viruses. Let me say right away that this isn't fake news, but it's not something you need to worry too much about. First of all, it's true that some ancient microorganisms, including bacteria and viruses, dating back thousands of years, are reviving in the Arctic. However, most of them don't come from the melting sea ice shelves, or glaciers, but from the melting ice and snow in the permafrost of the Arctic. Permafrost, according to Wikipedia's definition, is soil that remains at or below 0 degrees Celsius for at least 2 consecutive years, causing the water in these areas to always exist as ice and snow. It is estimated that up to 11% of the Earth's surface and 15% of the Northern Hemisphere's surface is covered by permafrost, mainly concentrated in Alaska, Greenland, Canada, and Siberia. The remainder lies on mountain peaks in the Southern Hemisphere and beneath areas not covered by ice and snow in Antarctica. The thawing of permafrost causes some ancient microorganisms stored inside the remains of prehistoric creatures that lived mainly during the Pleistocene epoch, from 2.58 million to 11,700 years ago, to revive. Scientists haven't agreed on how long bacteria and viruses can survive in ice and snow. Some say 50,000 years, others say 500,000 years, and some confidently claim millions of years. However, reviving them in the lab has only been successful with specimens less than 30,000 years old. Back to the main topic. Is the revival of ancient bacteria and viruses from the cold regions of the Arctic really cause for concern? The answer is, not really. Currently, at least 3 dangerous microorganisms can be found in the Arctic. Bacillus anthracis, the bacteria that causes anthrax. The AH1N1 influenza virus that caused the Spanish flu pandemic. And the Poxviridae family of viruses that cause smallpox. Their true origin is a mystery. However, the remains of humans and animals from past outbreaks are sometimes buried in the cold regions of the Arctic. The melting of ice and snow in permafrost allows these corpses to resurface and cause disease again, and that seems to be what has happened before. According to an article on newrepublic.com, the carcass of a reindeer that died of anthrax and was buried in 1941 in Siberia resurfaced in 2016. Spores of Bacillus anthracis from the reindeer carcass were released into the topsoil and into nearby streams. Before that, water was drunk by migrating reindeer, and their meat was eaten by nomadic Nenets people. As a result, thousands of reindeer died. A 12-year-old boy died. and at least 115 others were hospitalized. So why do I say there's no need to worry or fear the threat from the Arctic? First, once thawed, these bacteria and viruses need a host to latch onto immediately. Unfortunately for them, there aren't many hosts in the inner Arctic regions. The inhabitants here are mostly ethnic minorities who don't travel or communicate with the outside world often, similar to our social distancing, reducing the risk of a pandemic. Second, you live in the golden age of science and technology. Remember that in the pre-COVID-19 era, a vaccine factory usually took 4 to 6 years to build, and the entire process of developing a vaccine could take 10 to 15 years. Yet, we created the first COVID-19 vaccine in a record 11 months. That's the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, sold under the name Comirnaty, a collaboration between the American pharmaceutical company, Pfizer, and BioNTech, a German biotechnology company. With bacteria, it's even simpler because we currently have over 100 types of antibiotics to destroy them. You have just watched Part 5 of 1001 Facts to Make You Smarter, compiled by BrainPop Universe. Let us know what you think by commenting below. If you like this video, remember to like and share it enthusiastically. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified when there are new videos. For now, goodbye, and see you again.